Gandalphus unihana is uniquely adapted to survive in the extreme environment of hydrothermal vents on the eastern edge of the Philippine Sea Plate, located south of Japan. Due to the absence of light at such depths, it has immobile and unpigmented eyes, a characteristic feature of organisms living in deep-sea habitats. Males typically have a carapace measuring up to 40 cm and 25 cm, while females are larger. Originally described as Bythograeoidea in 2000, the species was later transferred to the genus Gandalphus by marine biologist Colin Macleay in 2007. The genus name is derived from the character Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings. Notably, it inhabits shallower depths compared to other members of the family Bythograeoidea, showcasing its unique ecological niche within the deep-sea vent environment. Once crabs have become juveniles, they still have to keep molting many more times to become adults. They are covered with a hard shell, which would otherwise prevent growth. The molt cycle is coordinated by hormones. When preparing for molt, the old shell is softened and partly eroded away, while the rudimentary beginnings of a new shell form under it. At the time of molting, the crab takes in a lot of water to expand and crack open the old shell at a line of weakness along the back edge of the carapace. The crab must then extract all of itself, including its legs, mouthparts, eye stalks, and even the lining of the front and back of the digestive tract, from the old shell. This is a difficult process that takes many hours, and if a crab gets stuck, it will die. Guard crabs are typically found inhabiting colonies of stony corals. They live in close association with their coral hosts, where they provide protection against coral predators. It is small in size, with a carapace width of typically around 1 to 2 centimeters. They have a distinctive coloration, with bright orange claws and a patterned carapace that helps them blend in with their coral habitat. These crabs have a mutualistic relationship with the coral colonies they inhabit. They defend the coral against coral-eating predators such as the crown-of-thorn starfish and the coral-eating snail, while the coral provides the crabs with shelter and protection. These crabs are often found in pairs or small groups within coral colonies, where they defend their territory against intruders and maintain a hierarchy among themselves. It plays an important role in coral reef ecosystems by helping to protect coral colonies from predation. Their presence can contribute to the overall health and resilience of coral reefs. Crabs are mostly active animals with complex behavior patterns such as communicating by drumming or waving their pincers. Crabs tend to be aggressive toward one another, and males often fight to gain access to females. On rocky seashores, where nearly all caves and crevices are occupied, crabs may also fight over hiding holes. They are known to work together to provide food and protection for their family, and during mating season to find a comfortable spot for the female to release her eggs. A theory regarding convergent evolution suggests that many organisms have independently evolved similar crab-like shapes due to similar environmental pressures. This phenomenon, known as carcinization, highlights the advantages of a crab-like body plan in various marine habitats. It is believed that the evolution of a crab-like form provides increased mobility, access to a wide range of food sources, and improved defense mechanisms against predators. Despite originating from different evolutionary lineages, organisms such as the coconut crab, hermit crab, and king crab exhibit striking similarities in their body structures, reflecting the selective pressures favoring the evolution of a crab-like morphology in diverse marine environments. Pom-pom crab is a small crab growing to a width of about 2.5 centimeters. The surface of the carapace is marked into several differently colored, geometric regions by a network of dark lines, giving it the appearance of stained glass. The chelipeds do not have the broad claws typical of decapod crabs. Instead, they are slim and each has a fine finger bearing 8 or 9 spines. It carries a small sea anemone, usually Bunodiopsis or Triactis, in each chela, holding its chelipeds out horizontally while moving around. If attacked by a potential predator, it will threaten the aggressor with an anemone, the tentacles of which are well armed with cnidocytes. It is unable to feed itself with its chelae and uses the tentacles of the anemones to collect food particles which it then removes with its mobile maxillipeds. The floral egg crab has an oval, relatively narrow carapace which has a smooth surface and smooth margins. It has large claws which are equal sizes and which are smooth with black spoon-shaped tips and which may be larger in males than females. It is an inhabitant of the neritic zone and prefers coral and rubble. Its meat, like that of many related crab species from the family Xanthoidea, is toxic. The toxins are synthesized by bacteria of the genus Vibrio which live in symbiosis with the crab, and the poisons are one similar to those found in puffer fish, and also saxitoxin, which is the primary toxin involved in paralytic shellfish poisoning. Both the shell and the meat of the devil reef crab contain significant concentrations of neurotoxins including tetrodotoxin and saxitoxin. Tetrodotoxin is the compound responsible for the toxicity of puffer fish, while saxitoxin is the best known of several related neurotoxins that cause paralytic shellfish poisoning. Both are absorbed through the gastrointestinal tract and interfere with sodium channels in the membranes of nerve cells. Poisoning with this crab can be fatal. One man in Timor-Leste died hours after consuming the crab, having received a dose equivalent to 1 to 2 micrograms saxitoxin per kilogram body mass. Its flesh is reported to be ingested by inhabitants of the Pacific Islands with the intention of committing suicide. Many of these animals comes from the Indo-Pacific Ocean. It is considered a biodiversity hotspot, hosting a wide range of species found nowhere else on Earth. Protecting these ecosystems helps safeguard unique and irreplaceable biodiversity. Marine resources support millions of people through fisheries, tourism, and other industries. Healthy ecosystems are essential for sustaining these livelihoods and supporting local economies. Coral reefs and mangrove forests in the Indo-Pacific play a vital role in climate regulation by sequestering carbon dioxide and providing coastal protection from storms and erosion. Preserving these ecosystems helps mitigate the impacts of climate change. Mosaic reef crab appearance is a body of 8 to 10 centimeters, somewhat fan-shaped and usually red to orange with strikingly mosaic-like patterns of large white spots. Its pincers are short, both about equal size, with black tips. It has walking legs that are hairy with pointed tips. This is known to be one of the most poisonous crabs in the world. Its neurotoxin does not get denatured by heat even when cooked. Sand bubbler crabs feed by filtering sand through their mouthparts, leaving behind balls of sand that are broken up by the incoming high tide. They live in burrows in the sand, where they remain during high tide. When the tide is out, they emerge onto the surface of the sand, and pass the sand through their mouthparts, eating detritus and plankton, and discarding the processed sand as pellets, which cover the beach. The crabs work radially from the entrance to their burrows, which they re-enter as the tide rises and disintegrates the pellets. In each burrow, the crab waits out the high tide in a bubble of air. The material consumed by sand bubbler crabs has a very low concentration of organic matter, which is concentrated by egestion of indigestible material. The light blue soldier crab spends much of its time buried in sand, emerging shortly before low tide. The emergence process, influenced by factors like temperature and rainfall, involves a rapid grooming mechanism followed by a collective trek towards water, during which the crabs feed and aggregate into male-dominated armies. These armies progress along the shore at a steady pace before breaking up, with individual crabs digging into the sand in a unique corkscrew motion. Encounters between males involve threat displays, and eventually, the crabs retreat into burrows to await the next tide. This behavior has been likened to societal dynamics, with Mycteris crabs characterized as cheerful bohemians in contrast to the middle-class caricature of Scopimera crabs. The smooth-handed ghost crabs have a distinctive appearance with elongated eye stalks that give them a horned or horn-eyed appearance. They are primarily found on sandy beaches and shores, where they construct burrows for shelter and protection. They are well adapted to life in the intertidal zone, where they are exposed to both terrestrial and marine environments. It is a highly active and agile crab, capable of running at high speeds across sandy substrates. They are primarily nocturnal, emerging from their burrows at night to forage for food along the shoreline. During the day, they retreat into their burrows to avoid predators and conserve moisture. The fiddler crab may be any of more than 100 species of semi-terrestrial marine crabs in the family Ocypodoidea, well known for their sexually dimorphic claws. The male's major claw is much larger than the minor claw, while the female's claws are both the same size. They are found along sea beaches and brackish intertidal mud flats, lagoons, swamps and various other types of brackish or saltwater wetlands. Like all crabs, fiddler crabs shed their shells as they grow. If they have lost legs or claws during their present growth cycle, a new one will be present when they molt. If the large fiddle claw is lost, males will develop one on the same side after their next molt. Newly molted crabs are very vulnerable because of their soft shells. They are reclusive and hide until the new shell hardens. These crabs communicate by a sequence of waves and gestures. Males have an oversized claw or chella. Used in clashes of ritualized combat of courtship over a female and signal their intentions between conspecifics. The movement of the smaller claw from ground to mouth during feeding explains the crab's common name. It looks as if the animal were playing the larger claw like a fiddle. The crab's smaller claw picks up a chunk of sediment from the ground and brings it to the mouth, where its contents are sifted through. After anything edible is salvaged, be it algae, microbes, fungus, or other decaying detritus, the sediment is replaced in the form of a little ball. The presence of these sediment balls near the entrance to a burrow is a good indication of its occupation. The blue land crab finds its food using light and sound detectors. Experiments show that crabs can be drawn out of their burrows to investigate the sound of falling fruit. Once out, they initiate a search for food. Predatory behavior is released in these crabs by detection of small moving objects. Crabs in the genus Cardosoma are able to detect small vibrations on the ground within the range of 10 to 1500 Hz and 70 decibels. Visual acuity increases with body size due to an increase in both the number and diameter of ommatidia. The eyes are stalked and their color ranges from a deep blue to a pale gray. Juveniles generally have a brown carapace with orange-colored legs. The Christmas Island red crab is famous for its spectacular mass migration, which is one of the most remarkable natural events in the world. This typically occurs during the wet season, usually triggered by the lunar cycle, around October or November each year. The timing is remarkably synchronized, with millions of crabs emerging from their burrows and migrating in mass to the sea. The primary purpose of the migration is for the adult crabs to breed and release their eggs into the ocean. The sea provides a suitable environment for the eggs to hatch into larvae, which then develop into juvenile crabs before returning to land. The Christmas Island red crab population is estimated to number in the millions, and during the migration, a significant proportion of the population participates in the event, covering the island in a sea of red. The migration has a significant ecological impact on the island's ecosystem, as the crabs traverse forests, roads and other habitats, influencing nutrient cycling, seed dispersal, and predator-prey dynamics. To ensure the safety of the migrating crabs, various protective measures are implemented, including road closures, speed restrictions, and the construction of crab bridges and tunnels to help the crabs safely cross roads and other obstacles. Purple rock crab is an omnivore and will eat a broad range of plant and animal life. While the crab may eat algae growing on rocks, they have also been observed feeding on barnacles and limpets. The crab captures limpets by quickly placing their chelae under the limpet's shell when it begins to move and then flips it over. Individuals are large and may have a carapace that reaches up to 5 centimeters in width. The crab has an overall purple coloration with a variable amount of white patterning when mature. Juveniles are a bluish-gray color with black patterning. The carapace is shaped somewhat like a square and eyes are relatively short. Shiny bait crab, or saury crab, is the sole species of crab in the genus Diveusia. It lives around the low tide area on rocky ocean shores on the eastern coast of Australia, in crevices and rock pools and on rock platforms. Its distribution is stated differently in different sources. Some have described the crab's habitat as from Queensland to as far south as the NSW Victorian border, while others have stated it can be found as far south as Wilson's Promontory. Its carapace is gray to fawn-colored with very small green spots, resulting in Diveusia glabra having a greenish appearance. The width of the carapace is around 3 to 4 centimeters across and is smooth without hair, slightly wider than long, with 3 distinct spines at each edge. The red rock crab is a marine large-eyed crab of the family Plagucidae. It has a sturdy square-bodied crab with a smooth dark red-brown carapace and yellow longitudinal ridges on the legs, yellow knobs on the pincers. There may be 4 white spots on the carapace in a roughly semicircular pattern. It is often seen in crevices or hiding under other benthic organisms. Purple mottled shore crab is most commonly found on stony or boulder beaches. The species occupies both the supralittoral fringe, a region above the level washed by all tides, but subject to flying spray, and the mid-littoral region, above the level not uncovered by all tides. However, the species typically occupies the upper mid-littoral region. It sometimes scrapes out shallow depressions beneath stones, and is most commonly found under boulders. The little shore crab lives in shallow water on muddy bottoms. At depths of up to 90 meters its eggs are small and dark brown in color. They are produced between February and October. After hatching, the larvae pass through 5 zoeal stages, instars that use appendages of the thorax for movement. This process takes at least 12 days at a temperature of 23 degrees Celsius, during which time the larvae grow from around 1.3 millimeters from the tip of the rostrum to the tip of the dorsal spine. After a further 5 days, the larva molts into the megalopa phase, instar that uses the appendages of the abdomen for movement, and after 5 more days, molts into the first crab-like phase, at a carapace length of around 1.5 millimeters. The study investigates the migration distribution pattern of Varina literata, a freshwater crab from the Varunidae family known for its euryhaline and catadromous nature. Specimens were collected from Meru Bitiri National Park along rivers passing Andingrajo and Bandilat resorts, using the road sampling method across various habitats and elevations. The study reveals that this species mainly inhabits lowland settlements, but can migrate up to 31 kilometers inland to freshwater habitats. Large females found near the coast suggest an association with marine life during certain periods.